zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, to another fantastic day of Game Day Live presented by Underdog Fantasy. I am Skywalker, still here with my big homie, the former Dallas Cowboy, Jesse Holley. You ready, bro?
Let's do it.
It is, let me say it this way. Finally, Mike McCarthy has come back to Lambeau Field. Yeah, baby. It's homecoming for Mike McCarthy. And a lot of those coaches, too, for the Cowboys. And we'll get to all of that a little bit later on. But how's it going? Week 10, rested off the bye week, ready to go?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to go, man. I'm glad to be back out here with you. And this is an important game. This is one of those games where maybe preseason you may have had it as a loss. And then the season progressed, and now you look at this game and saying, you know what? This is a game that we're supposed to go and win, but the boogeyman is still over there in number 12 and Aaron Rodgers, and the Cowboys are going to have to come out here today and really, if the Green Bay Packers are considered a bad football team, and the record, if in the words of Bill Parcells, you are what your record is,
your record says you are,
then the Cowboys need to come out today and leave no doubt. Leave no doubt for the fans, for themselves, but also for the Green Bay Packers. Let them know that it's a good time for you guys to quit. And essentially almost put them out of playoff contention. So that
hole, put them in there.
So that boogeyman doesn't come and have to deal with you later on in January. So today's a prime example for the Cowboys to kind of control a little bit of their destiny and get rid of and exercise one of those boogeyman demons that they've been unable to do with those guys in the National Football League.
We talked about this on a fantastic podcast that you guys should probably check out called Cowboys 4th and Long. I mean, it's an amazing podcast with two great gentlemen, Jesse Holley and myself.
Yeah, that's us.
And we talked about how you don't want him doing one of those scenes out of a horror movie where you thought you had him down and you go look over in the window and he's gone. Mm-hmm. No. We don't want the boogeyman back under the bed. This isn't Jason Voorhees. This isn't Michael Myers. Bury this guy today, Cowboys Nation. That's what we need to do. Let's go ahead and get some game day catch up. A lot to catch up to this week, and we got a big inactive name that we'll get to here in a second. But let's start off with the inactives. Linebacker Jabril Cox is inactive today. A little bit of a surprise, Jesse, because also Anthony Barr, linebacker, is inactive. Does that catch you by surprise a little bit?
No, I think with Jabril Cox, they're still bringing him along as far as the mental aspect of it. And this is an opportunity for when you look back 2 weeks ago when Damone Clark got on the football field, you saw a lot of good things. You saw him thinking a lot, but you also saw the ability that he has. And the more reps you get in this game, man, the better you become and the better they are at evaluating you. So, we may see a little bit more Micah Parsons at linebacker today. That's still a possibility. We forget that Micah Parsons is a linebacker.
That is true.
Because he plays primarily defensive end a lot of the times. But in a game like this, you know that the Green Bay Packers, what they want to do is they want to implore that running game. They want to get Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon going early in this football game. And if we can kind of combat that with moving Micah Parsons around a little bit and allowing him to kind of scrape and make plays, then when it comes down to those money downs, line him up at defensive end and let him go after that kind of shaky offensive line of the Green Bay Packers.
It's so funny because pregame I'm like, interesting. No Jabril Cox, no Anthony Barr. They're not going to call up another linebacker. Well, Will. Micah Parsons is a linebacker, and I'm putting Mike at linebacker guy. It's just he's been playing defensive end pass rusher for so long, for so much during the season that it's like, all right, I give up on that. He's going to play a lot of linebacker. But I think this should be one of those games, at least to start.
Right.
Well, we're going to break down this Packers offense. It may not pan out that way. We'll see how disciplined they remain. But at least to start, I think I would love to see Micah Parsons get some more action at linebacker. And with Damone Clark, I would love to see those two next to each other. But it'll definitely be LVE and Micah Parsons to begin, and they'll mix in Damone Clark when they bring down Micah. Nashawn Wright is also out. Marquise Bell, Will Grier, and then Chauncey Golston kind of going along the same lines. A little bit surprised Chauncey Golston isn't active today, given that you're going to play what you would think is a predominantly run team, and he's your 5-tech run defensive end, so he'll be out the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, and this is another game. You brought in a guy like Jonathan Hankins. You want to see him play more, right? You want to have some of those bigger, girthier guys in this particular game because you're up at Lambeau. The weather isn't the best. It's not bad, but it isn't the best. You want to try to have as much girth up front as you can with guys like Bohannon and guys like Hankins, so that when they try to run that, they're going to try to run the football early and often in this football game. So you want those guys on the inside to be able to collapse that pocket and really take up those blocks, so that now your edge rushers can get to where they have to get to with Aaron Rodgers. Because again, not to be like a broken record, this Green Bay offensive line is a shaky offensive line and can be taken advantage of if you have the right personnel in it to do so.
Well, let's get right into it then, because we're teasing it. Let's jump right into the Green Bay Packers offense. If you would have told me before the season, one team's 3-6, the other team is 6-2. I will be honest with you, I'd be surprised that the Packers would be 3-6 on a 5-game losing streak. Not saying that I wouldn't be surprised the Cowboys are 3-6, because I would. But that's what we're dealing with here. But I think what's even crazier is I would have assumed it was the defense of the Packers that was failing.
Right.
This Packers offense has not looked anything remotely like it's been in the last 15 years. Let's be honest, 15 years. Their 17 points per game is ranked in the bottom 5, I think, in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers has thrown more interceptions in the game week 8, or I'm sorry, 9 games in, than he's thrown since 2016. Yeah. Their running game, which you would think would be the good part of their team, it's good, but they're not leaning on it, Jesse. This is surprising to me. They throw the ball the 10th most in the league. They run it the 19th most. Just very strange, very unfamiliar offense, unrecognizable is what I called it. But at the end of the day, they do have Aaron Rodgers. If there was one thing about their struggling offense that you would be worried about, what would it be?
It starts up front, and I get a chance every week to break bread and sit down and talk with Nate Newton. And when you talk about offensive linemen, he's one of the best to ever do it. And when you don't have an offensive line that's, and we've experienced this, when you have the rotating offensive linemen, when guys are being hurt, when guys are down, and you don't have a solidified offensive line, it kind of takes away what you want to do and what you're able to do. And for the Packers, they've always had kind of that quick strike offense, but it was behind that running game. And when it up front, that offensive line is not very good, and then on the back end, you don't have the receivers that are able to be playmakers. One of the things I talk about Green Bay is they've always flirted around with this thing of we can just put whoever out there because we have number 12 and they'll become playmakers. And that sometimes you run into the situation where you have so many young guys out there, and you've heard Aaron Rodgers kind of sometimes cry about it, complain about it. But when you have all young guys and you don't have that veteran presence and someone who can kind of get open for you, now you're talking about guys not getting open in time, guys not running the right routes, and that throws off the timing and rhythm of how Aaron Rodgers likes to run this offense. And that's those two things for me. The offensive line is not being able to protect and run the football, and then on the back end, the receivers not being able to make the plays that need to be made in the game when you had a Devontae Adams, when you had a Jordy Nelson, when you had a young Randall Cobb, when you had I was thinking MVS.
Oh, MVS, yeah.
When you had
Valdez-Scantling.
When you had those guys in the rotation, all of those guys feed off one another. But when they're gone, now you're asking these younger guys to make plays, and they're just not ready to make them.
And they don't even have one of their better younger guys. Romeo Doubs is out in this game. You got Randall Cobb, who is gone in this game. And you talked about the communication and the breakdown of communication. You saw it on a few plays against Detroit when you went and watched that game with Sammy Watkins. Aaron Rodgers, for years, has, and we talked about this on the podcast, he just has a fluid motion. It's kind of like poetry in motion, where he's throwing the ball, coming out of his play actions, coming out of the read, the RPO, run pass option. even in the red zone. And there was a play down there in the red zone on a back shoulder fade or just a straight-up fade with Devontae Adams that's done in his sleep.
Right.
In his sleep. He gets out the center, throws it over. Watkins is here. He throws the ball over there, and he's looking like, what are we doing? Same thing happened with the interception that went off the Lions' head. I mean, that's on him, but usually these things are clicking, right? He threw 3 interceptions in the red zone. I think that's more interceptions in the red zone than like the last 10 years combined for Aaron Rodgers in one game. I'm not expecting him to do that again, but there is clearly a disconnect from a communication standpoint between these young receivers and Aaron Rodgers. The only one that there may not be that disconnect with is Allen Lazard. One thing I do give credit to A-Rod is there's always one guy that he does make better. Right. And I'm not saying that he can't do it for more than one guy, but that's hard. People assume, bro. It's so you laughing because you know it's real. People assume, oh, all right, he's getting paid X and Y, Z. He's got to make the 5th and 6th guy look like the 1st or 2nd. That is hard. It's hard. So if you can make one dude like that, you get some kudos. And Allen Lazard is that guy, man. He's 6'5", 227. He is their jump ball contested dude. I think he's 7th in the league in contested targets. And I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to target him against Anthony Brown. We talk about mouse in the house. I think he's going to look at that as seriously, man. I think he's going to look at that matchup and say, that's where I'm going to go.
And also, when you go back to talking about Aaron Rodgers, when Aaron Rodgers is a rhythmic type player. And when that communication is not there, when that understanding is not there with his receivers, what it now does for a quarterback is I'm second guessing. I'm thinking about, does he know what we're supposed to be doing? And so you've seen a lot of Aaron Rodgers double clutching. You've seen him not feeling confident in some of his throws because once you've watched film and once you've been in these games and you're like, ooh, I know we talked about it, but does he understand it? Is he seeing what I'm seeing? And that's the difference when you have that veteran receivers or that veteran receiving group in a game with you, because there's some things that are unspoken. We just know we've seen this coverage. We know exactly what to do. When you had that, when you had Devontae Adams, you had that when you had other guys like that around you, Randall Cobb. They see the same thing that you've seen because you guys worked so long with each other. That chemistry is there. And when you don't have it and you start questioning whether these guys do or do not know it, you start pumping it. You start looking the other way. You start kind of forcing things where they should not go because of your uncertainty about that relationship and communication.
And then we see that the very first game with Dak.
Yep.
I mean, he wasn't as confident in his receivers, and you're giving the offense and Kellen Moore all the option routes. And, you know, if you don't have that communication, that rapport, you're going to get that hesitancy. But I don't think you've seen that lately with this offense. And we'll get to that in the second block of the show. But I still believe this offense, Packers-wise, against this Cowboys defense is going to come down to what they should be doing well, which is running the ball, and what the Cowboys are still trying to get a grip on.
Right.
And that's stopping the run, hence why you bring in a Hankins, right? The Packers have a run scheme that I like personally from a fan standpoint. They get that post-action motion going with a receiver or tight end coming one way, the guards and centers pulling another way. They run a lot of 21 personnel, Jesse. Get ready to see Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon out there together a lot. Sometimes you'll see 250-pound A.J. Dillon as a fullback, as a lead blocker for Aaron Jones. So they do run the ball well, but they don't run it enough. And I wonder if you get into a game where you can force them out by making them become impatient. Because Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy, and to come back full circle here, Mike McCarthy's homecoming with Aaron Rodgers, right? I think there's going to be a game within the game here. I just do, man. There's just something about Mike's press conferences this week or last week, whenever it was, when he was talking about this. There's something about J-Ron saying we want to do this. What is it, win this for the Gipper or something like that? There's a little something to that. And I was thinking about this driving in today, and don't kill me, Cowboys Nation. I'm not comparing this specifically, but it reminds me a little bit of Shaq Kobe, where when Shaq left, Kobe was like, I want to get one more.
Right.
I want to get one more than Shaq. Obviously, these Super Bowls way different. It's harder to do, in my opinion. But this is the only time they're probably going to play each other for quite some time, maybe. So I feel like there's going to be that competitiveness to one-up each other today. And maybe Aaron Rodgers just say, man, screw this run game. Okay? Yeah, we ran it 6 times, but we're down 10. I ain't running it no more. It's going to be the Aaron Rodgers show, which I hope, by the way. But do you think there'll be some gamesmanship going on between A-Rod and Mike McCarthy?
Absolutely. You listen to these guys talk all week, and they're saying glowing things about one another, and he's this and he's that. And I'm looking around, I'm like, they hate each other. Yeah. Like Mike McCarthy, let's not mistaken this, people. Mike McCarthy is our head coach because Aaron Rodgers did not want him anymore in Green Bay. They had a beef in Green Bay. They no longer saw eye to eye. There was some friction in between there. Mike McCarthy wanted to do things his way. Aaron Rodgers started feeling himself and said, I want to do things my way. And, he kind of went to the front office and said, it's either him or me. And the front office said, generational talent at quarterback. Head
coach.
We're going to choose Aaron Rodgers, rightfully so, right? Because if I was in that position, I'm taking the quarterback, the generational quarterback, every single time. Yep. But, yes, there is going to be a game within a game. There's going to be Mike McCarthy wants this win because if we're being honest, this may be, unless there's a playoff scenario, this may be the last time these two ever get a chance to play one another. Because, when you look at it, who knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to do at the end of the season? He's been flirting with retirement for the last couple of years. He may look up and say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Who knows what Mike McCarthy's going to – what his situation is going to be next year as far as coaching. Will he be the Cowboys coach? Won't he be the Cowboys coach? I mean, there's a bunch of different scenarios that you can play along with this thing, but they definitely – and for Mike – to do it in Lambeau makes it even sweeter. To come back to Lambeau and kind of stick it to the Green Bay Packers fans at Lambeau and Aaron Rodgers and the front office and all those people, yes, this will be a game within a game. But I don't agree with. I think there's a maturity level for Aaron Rodgers to know that I don't have to do it my way. I can take advantage of what they're lacking in, which is the run game. Now, if it comes down to the fourth quarter and it's 3-4 minutes left,
that's different.
That's different. The Aaron's going to turn into Aaron. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I think overall, they're going to try to come out here and kind of pick and probe their way through this thing and see where they have the advantage and try to play to that strength a little bit. And then later into the game, you can look at it and go, all right, Aaron's going to try to do his thing. And hopefully, when he does, we have an answer for it and we shut it down.
Yeah, I would. This sounds so crazy. Historically speaking, you would never want to say this. I welcome Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball around the park today 35, 40, 50 times. That sounds nuts.
It does. It sounds so sick. Like, it sounds so sick.
Like, I would never want to do that. But that's because the Cowboys' pass defense this year has been stout. It's been one of the best in the league. And the pass rush has been the best in the league. So you mean to tell me I get 40 to 45 chances to sack Aaron Rodgers, force him into a bad throw, tipped interception, regular interception because he threw some regular ones last week, bad reads. I will take 45 opportunities for Micah to go get it. It sounds crazy.
I know, but you're right.
But that's what it is right now.
But you're right. It sounds sick, but you are – and that's the thing. Is like, you're right. It sounds insane, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's just weird. It's one of those weird things that you say it out loud and you like, I can't believe I said it out loud, but it's really the truth. It's really the truth when it comes to the way that this team has played this season.
And I think it's a positive thing for the Cowboys, in my opinion, because in years past you wouldn't say that. No, you didn't have a ferocious pass rush. You didn't have a pretty stout secondary, and you didn't have a Micah Parsons. So, this is more so about Dallas than it is Green Bay. Granted, they don't have the weapons, but we said the same thing in week 2 against a team that had a plethora of them things. And Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. We was like, yeah, Joe, please drop back 50 times and throw it because we got that type of defense. So this is more about Dallas and and less about Aaron Rodgers and what he has over there. So, I think this is the heavyweight fight. The Cowboys' defense against the Packers' offense because of the Aaron Rodgers aspect. But I think the other side of the ball is the part where you can put this thing away and make it easier for your defense instead of this being a 9-15 game like it was in Detroit and you just hoping as a Detroit fan, just please don't let A-Rod figure it out. Right. Because all it takes is one series. It's the other side of the ball. And one of the names we left off, Jesse, in the inactives purposefully was Ezekiel Elliott. Who will not be suiting up again. And there's a lot of things you can talk about in regards to this. This is very interesting because it's a complete 180 from last year. Zeke can play. I'm pretty sure Zeke can go out there and play. I think McCarthy, what he said a couple weeks ago was, we don't want to get into a situation like we were last year, where he was out there hobbled. I mean, I remember specifically me and you sitting in here in the Revolver at Game Day Live, watching the Saints game, watching Ezekiel Elliott hobble to the sideline on a run and looking at each other like, did he just do that? Mm-hmm. And he's back out there? What are we doing? So I'm actually for sitting him if he's not ready to go. But another part of me, and I want you to kind of touch on this, playing on the road in cold environment in Green Bay, I don't know how loud the crowd's going to be. I don't know if Green Bay has that mystique anymore. There was something about me that really did hope, though, that Zeke was healthy enough to play in this game, because Zeke is still Zeke in a way of, the gritty, the grinder, the veteran. He's been in this environment before. Now we're going to roll out TP, who's played in big games, and a rook. Kind of was like, I wish we had Ezekiel Elliott in this game healthy.
Yeah, you always want to have, a plethora of your best players. But I do want to applaud the Cowboys for learning from their mistakes last year.
Yeah.
And playing Zeke, could he play today? Yes.
Sure he could.
I'm sure he could. But what you do now is that you put Zeke out there in situations, right? And he's not 100%. But your natural inclination is to go, hey, it's 3rd and 3. Give it to 21. But what if 21 doesn't have the boost to get there because he's hobbled?
Yep.
Now you've put yourself in a situation where he is, it's 4th and 2 and he doesn't get it, or it's 3rd and 3 and he loses one because he doesn't have that extra kick because of the injury, and so you kind of just you've now eliminated that that factor, because if he's in uniform, you're going to play him.
Yeah.
And you're going to give him the rock in certain scenarios, and if he's if he's not unhealthy, or if he's not 100% healthy to do certain things,
he could be a
in
detriment.
certain situations, it could be a detriment to your football team, because mentally you're going to go 3rd and 2, 21. All right, let's go for it.
That's money, right?
Let's go for it in a normal situation. Yeah. But being hobbled, that matters. And then I always look and this goes for not only Zeke Elliott, but also, I don't think a lot of people talked about this, for Dak Prescott. When the weather changes, when you start dealing with things like a thumb, a knee, an ankle, in those type of cold environments, those things begin to stiffen up. So keeping a knee warm and kind of functional for Zeke Elliott in this particular weather may not be great. Same thing for Dak Prescott with that thumb, who, while it's healed, it still has to go through that.
I think there's a screw in it.
Yeah. So when you go into this colder weather, that thumb, the ball hardens. So that thumb sometimes stiffens up. Do you have the proper grip at times to make, to grip that harder football, to deliver the throws down the football field, to squeeze one of those in there, as Jerry would say, to spin that thing. So that's also a thing to look out for. Michael Gallup, coming off that ACL injury. We've seen how he's kind of been working his way back into it, getting his leg back underneath him. But being in weather like this, that colder weather, that surface is different. That surface is different. It's slicker. I talked about this on my show. There's a difference between your normal size cleats, your regular half-inch, and then when you go to a grass field, now you got to go to the screw-ons, which is a inch or sometimes more, depending on how, linemen and stuff like that. So that's a bigger cleat. Going into the ground, you have to work a little bit harder to get your foot out of the ground. So those are the type of things that you look for in this football game when you travel up to Lambeau Field. So not having Zeke, I thought that was a great call for the Cowboys because of the detriment that it could cause you. But also pay attention to those other guys in the football field who have some of those joint, knee, thumb, ligament type things, that those things can stiffen up and be difficult to keep warm in that type of weather.
That's a very interesting point, and why we love to have you here, man, because you can provide that to us. And it's so funny about this game. We joked about it on the Cowboys 4th and Long podcast. This game has been taken over by a guy that's not on the team, number one. So we're not going to talk about that. But also the running back, Ezekiel Elliott, and what's going to happen with him is kind of no, we're not talking about Dak.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a game where Dak also has to stay within himself. You're a better team going into this game. You're the more healthier team.
Facts.
You're the fresher team.
Facts.
And you're on the road. The weather, you talked about the weather could have and listen, the weather hasn't been great for Dak. When Dak has have to play, and I don't know what the temperature's going to be up there, but when it hasn't been great weather, it's not like he's been amazing. So I'm hoping in this game he doesn't try to get into, and I think I had it on my notes here, we don't want to see an Aaron Rodgers versus Dak Prescott.
Right.
Like, Dak shouldn't want that to be the game plan either. I think we should go into this the same exact way we've been going into these games over the last 2 months or whatever it's been, Jesse. Continue to control. We haven't controlled the clock, but continue to control the game via the ground, be efficient via the pass, take advantage of the shots that you're going to get. And when you have a chance to take advantage of an injured defense, then, yeah, do that, Dak. But where you're at home against the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears, you can take some of those chances, right, and get away with being greedy. You don't. This is Aaron Rodgers on the other side of the field, so you don't want to do that. So the reason why I bring that up is because as you were talking, I was sitting there thinking, like, hey, man, we haven't really talked about, it's also still Dak Prescott's third game back from his injury, and it's on the road now. So I always thought it was perfect to get him back for Detroit because now you can get him going a little bit. But this one right here is going to be probably his most difficult from an environment standpoint for the rest of the way, maybe saying it's Tennessee. I don't know what the weather's like in Tennessee in December. Yeah. But this is going to be the most difficult one, so another test for Dak Prescott to pass.
And it's a quick weather. They're talking about right now it's generally cloudy, 33 degrees.
That's cool, 33.
This is a cool 33. It's a cool.
I mean, to be honest, though, that is good cold football weather.
Absolutely,
yeah.
But it's cold.
It's cold.
It's cold, and Mike McCarthy had a great comment when they asked about the weather. Mike said, I know for sure they have more guys.
That was a cool little nugget.
They have more guys from the southern sector of the world than we do.
Yeah.
So, but the difference is they play in it every day. They live in it. They're around it. They practice in it. So that's the difference between it. And then we can't duplicate that weather here. Last week we were in the 80s.
I'm sitting here complaining about what is it, 45 degrees a day, 50 degrees or whatever it is. I'm like, oh man, I left my coat in the car. I should buy my. They about to be out here in sub 32 degrees or something like that. Yeah, so I can't complain.
As the nightfall comes, it'll get to about 26. So as the game gets on, it'll get colder and colder.
Yeah, I'm glad the Cowboys play in a dome and we're in Texas. But one more thing on the weather that I want to ask you, something that's been kind of on my mind. Tony Pollard, the Kevontae Turpins of the world, your kind of explosive speed guys. Everyone is nerfed when they're on grass compared to turf. Like you're not as explosive on grass. That just is what it is. Is it an advantage or disadvantage for these speed guys when you're going on grass like this, cold weather like this? Because I was struggling with this. I was sitting here thinking, well, if everyone's going to be nerfed, then maybe you have that kind of quickness, speed advantage, but also you're nerfed.
Right.
So your thought on that?
The biggest thing about that is the ability to stay loose and stay warm. And those speed guys, when those joints get tight and those muscles get tight and you don't have the ability to stay warm, that sometimes alleviates a little bit of your speed opposed to when you're playing in a dorm and you're loose and you're flexible and everything. You got a good lather. It's tough to get a good lather in cold weather like that.
Like fans, you need to get by that heat.
But even still, you're by that, and then you get on the field, and all of a sudden,
ain't no heat.
Yeah. So trying to keep that, and then you get into the game, and maybe you get a 6, 7, 8 play drive, and then you got to go back to the sideline, and then you sit. And then you got to get back up and kind of get loosened up. And so there's little things about, like, your feet being, staying warm. Because if your feet gets cold, you're done. Like, if your feet starts getting cold and frostbitten and all that, you're kind of done. And then the surface. This grass surface means it's a little bit different. It's not as fast as your turf surface is. And then you're going up there in the week, week 9, 10 of the season.
Week 10,
that means the grass is beat up a little bit. It's beaten up a little bit. There may be some divots in there. And I go back to those cleats. When you have to put those screw-ins in, it changes the way that you pick up and put your foot down, and you change the direction because those longer spikes, while it grips the grass more, it takes more for you to get your foot up and out of that grass. So sometimes those quick cuts that you see Tony Pollard do, sometimes it may not be able to be there because the grass may give, or your foot may get caught, your cleat may get caught in that grass. But if it's straight line speed, yeah, fine. But it's all that quickness and that change of direction and being able to move from one place to the other and then get down the field.
You great segue, Jones. Tony Pollard. The reason why I wanted to bring that up, and I mentioned TP. Yeah, I did. You pulling another? I saw you this week.
I spit the water. Like, the straw got stuck to my lip when I tried to pull away.
Yeah,
Pause.
What did Nate say? Nate said something, man. It had
Nate something about it. Nate said exploding over it. Tony Pollard's gonna be exploding all over them, and I lost it. I lost it.
That was hilarious. I hope they clipped that up. By the way, that should be a GIF.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for him to say that as I was drinking water.
But the reason why I bring it up, man, we talk about Dak. This kind of being one of those. I don't care if they're 3. I really don't. I don't care if they're 3-6. Beat Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. You're 2-0. You come out of Lambeau Field 2-0 in your career. That's something you can be proud of. But this is also a statement game for Tony Pollard, to me. Last week, no Ezekiel Elliott. You're at home, a little comfortable against another bad run defense, to be completely honest and fair. This week, though, an explosive guy. Oh, wow. Did he catch that?
He did. Jefferson.
On 4th and 18.
4th and 18.
Unbelievable.
The Minnesota Vikings are driving down 4.
I'm sorry, y'all, but this was an
he caught it.
My God, he caught that.
You thought Stephon Diggs had a great catch. Why do you see this Justin Jefferson catch?
He just said, hold my beer.
Yeah.
This is way better. What was I saying? Tony Pollard. So last week, at home, comfortable, bad run defense. This week, on the road, it's colder. That quickness, that cutability may not – it'll be there, but it may not be there for you as it would be against Detroit or against Chicago. So I look at this, and I wrote down Tony Pollard's statement game because this could be another one of those money games is what I should say.
Yep.
All right, TP, we know you're fast. We know you're quick. We know you're explosive. But can you be the lead back on the road in a cold weather game? Because what if – I won't say the Giants, but what if a team from a cold weather state wants to sign you? You know what I mean? They'll say, I don't know, man. I saw you go up there against Green Bay and have 10 carries for 25 yards. Mm-hmm. So I look at this as a TP statement game or a money game. You think this is another one of those for him?
Anytime that he has the opportunity to be the lead dog is always going to be a money game for him.
Too. Yeah.
But then again, like we want to make Tony Pollard a featured back, and sometimes and some players just aren't built to be that. And for Tony Pollard, you have to play to your strengths. And if your strength is playing 15 to 25 snaps, then so be it. Then if that's the best at what you do, then let's play to that. But anytime that you don't have Ezekiel Elliott and you don't have to really share those reps, this is another opportunity for Tony Pollard to not only show the Cowboys, but show 31 other football teams that, I'm that dude.
And see, and then that's what kind of makes me go, is that this week, unless you get up on them like you did against the Bears last week, this is the road game. It's against Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. It's different up there in Lambeau. I don't know if 14 carries is going to be enough this week. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe it will be. Maybe. It might be. Who knows? He might run 14 for $130 again. Malik Davis, 8 carries again. Or are we going to keep this same split with TP where he was with Zeke, which is fine if that's what you want to do. 15 touches for TP. Give Davis and Olsen, who was called up from the Falcons, got signed for the Falcons to the practice squad. Now he's been called up. You give them about 12 carries apiece, or do you say it's too important of a game? Tony Pollard, first 20-touch game of the season. I'm leaning towards that. I am,
and that's not a problem. I don't like. We've attached these numbers, right? We've attached that 14, 20, 25,
15, 30
30 plays because what Coach Skip Pete said, so we've attached all these numbers to it. It's not like this. It's not like when you put coins into the riding horsey in front of the supermarket that, hey, after 2 minutes, this thing is going to stop. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, hey, when Tony Pollard gets to 14 snaps, that's just it. It's just going to stop. But, yeah, I'm sure Tony Pollard's like, listen, if I get to 20 snaps, give me the rock. If I get to 25 snaps, Give me the rock.
Yeah.
When it comes to winning football games in the National Football League, you have to do whatever it is you need to do. And if that requires Tony Pollard to go 25 snaps, then damn it, he better dig deep and find 25 snaps. And I'm not saying he has to do it all year long, but in this game, if it matters that you have to do it in this game, then damn it, you got to do it in this game. You want to separate yourself from the other backs, or you want to give yourself an opportunity to go out there and earn some money, then if it requires Tony Pollard to do 25 snaps, and I've said this before, don't make it 25 empty calorie snaps.
No.
Like, run plays and run him 25 times in the manner of which he is more successful in. Don't run him up in the A and B gaps all night long. You got 20 of his 25 carries is in the A gaps.
Yeah, that's
wasted calories. Now, if 5 of his 25 carries are in the A gap, cool, that's fine. But run him off tackle. Get him on the edges. Counter him. Do different things like that to the runs where you know he's going to be successful in. Don't have empty calorie runs for Tony Pollard so that when he gets up to those snap counts, it's not like, oh, he had 30 carries and 10 of them were wasted carries. Make sure that his carries are plentiful. Make sure they're not wasted calories. Find the runs that he does well, and then in the course of the game, be able to sit back as a coach and say, here's what's worked for us. Let's continue to go back to that. I saw a clip. I saw it today in the Buccaneers game. When an offensive lineman looks to the sideline and he goes, you run the ball a couple times, and the offensive lineman goes, let's do it again. Listen to the offensive lineman. Let's run it again. Dak did it a couple weeks ago. Let's do it again. And so that's what you want with Tony Pollard, man. Find those runs that he does well. And the Minnesota Vikings just scored on the Buffalo Bills. They're up 29-27 right now, presumably 30-27 if the extra point is good, with 54 seconds left to go on the clock. And we got Minnesota next week.
Now, how great is Jesse Holley here? Just a fantastic response, and just flows right through it.
Stuff.
Just good stuff here. Justin Jefferson, the best in the game, man. Hey, catch this. Yep, that's a touchdown. Wow.
Yeah. That's what happens when you have a number one wide receiver. It's what they do.
He ain't no number one. He's elite.
Yeah.
There's only a
handful of those
5 or 6 of them boys.
Handful of them jokers. When everybody knows you go into that. When everybody knows. Oh, yeah, he's in. He's in. When everybody knows who you're going to and you still go to him and there's nothing that they can do about it. Oh, he didn't get in.
He's not in.
He didn't get in. I'll take that back. They're going to review this and they're going to run another play.
4th and goal from the 1-inch yard line. What a phenomenal game. This has been.
Fellas, absolutely awesome. I love this game.
This is the downside. We do the pregame show during games
like this.
So let's go ahead. Let's get into the Underdog Fantasy Pick'em today, y'all. This is the 3rd block of the show, my favorite block of the show. I tell y'all every single week about Underdog Fantasy. Hey, look, if your fantasy football team stinks, or if you already know you're not making the playoffs in your home league, but you still want to sweat out while you're watching NFL, then it's time to try Underdog Fantasy and their Pick'em games. Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game is available in over 30 states, including Texas, and you can win up to 20 times your money by correctly picking higher or lower on player stats in a single game. Pick between 2 and 5 players for your pick'ems and get all your picks right, and you'll take home some cold, hard cash. Or you can click that insurance button and take something home when you can. And the easiest way to do it, man, is very simple. Download the app, Underdog Fantasy, or go to UnderdogFantasy.com. They will match a deposit up to $100. $100. So you can start off with $200 for $100. So make sure y'all do that. UnderdogFantasy.com. Here we go, Jesse. And this one is basically the battle of the quarterbacks and the tight ends. The reason why I picked these guys is because it's a cold weather. Uh-oh. Hold on. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, my God. Wow.
Flags down, but Dalvin Cook dropped the potential touchdown.
Unbelievable.
Underdog Fantasy.
Underdog Fantasy, y'all. Here we go. The reason why I picked the tight ends and the quarterbacks, cold weather game, I don't know if we're going to see a whole lot of downfield action. And I feel like if you want to get your money's worth, these will hit. So holla at me, Cowboys Nation. Higher or lower? Here we go. Dak Prescott, higher or lower, 32 pass attempts.
I think in the fourth quarter.
Offsides
on the defense. I think in the fourth quarter, this thing may come into a shootout, and that's when you're going to see Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott go at it. So I'm going to go over 32 passing attempts today.
I think that'll be the first time. I don't know what Cooper Rush threw for against the Eagles. He stopped.
He got him. He's in. He's in. I don't know.
This is an unbelievable finish.
He
stopped him. Oh, my God. They stopped him.
They're going to review this.
Yeah, they're going to
review it.
Let's get through this because I got to watch this game. I got lower for Dak because I think they're going to go with the same process as they've been going with all year. And I do think the running game is going to have success. Yes, it may come down to the fourth quarter being a little bit close here, but I think it'll be Aaron Rodgers who will have to do a little bit more throwing. So we'll skip one real quick and go to Aaron Rodgers. Higher or lower, 34.5 passing attempts for A-Rod?
I'm going to go slightly lower. Slightly lower. I think I'm opposite of you. I think that the Packers are really going to try to lean on this run game. I said this before. Aaron Jones, he was inactive a week ago, and he was hurt a week ago. He wants to win this football game. He and his family are huge Cowboy fans, and so he's ready to play this game. A.J. Dillon, the Cowboys are going to have to really show up and show out on can they stop the run.
He didn't get it.
He didn't get it. Can they stop the run? They've given up a ton of running yards the last couple of weeks. Though they've gotten victories in some of those games, they're going to get checked again today. And so I think the Green Bay Packers up in Lambeau Field are going to try to come in and assert their dominance, their physicality early in this football game, and that's going to lessen Aaron Rodgers throwing the football.
I agree with the latter part. I do think they're definitely going to try to assert their dominance and run this ball. I just think that they don't have the discipline to keep doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I do think Dallas will have some success offensively that may put pressure on them. So I do have higher on this one. Let's get to the tight ends. Dalton Schultz, and then I want to talk about the last one here because it's near and dear to your heart here.
Yes.
Dalton Schultz, higher or lower 33.5 receiving yards? Y'all.
Higher.
This is easy, man.
Higher. This is easy. This is easy.
I'm trying to win y'all some money here, so listen to me, man.
It's easy. Higher.
For what? Why?
I mean, Dalton Schultz, one, he's Dak's favorite target, and he's back. But also, if you notice, they've done a lot more of 3 tight end sets. They've done a lot more of 21 personnel. And then in this type of game, like I said before, that ball is going to be a little bit colder. It's not going to sail down the football field like you want it to all the time. So taking those throws right in front of you, matriculating the ball down the field, being able to get the ball out quick is going to be right there to Dalton Schultz and maybe some a little bit to hinder shot Ferguson. But Dalton Schultz is Dak's favorite target underneath, and I think you're going to see a lot of that early and often to Dalton Schultz.
It looks like Dalton Schultz is the only one now running not the only one, 100% of the game, but he's the main one running option routes, and it makes sense. He's the one that has the best connection with Dak Prescott. We often forget CeeDee Lamb and Dak haven't played together a whole lot due to injuries, and then Michael Gallup was out all last year, and then Dak was out this year, so they're trying to regain that connection. Noah Brown, he's playing, but Noah Brown hasn't been a guy that Dak has connected with like that. So it's Dalton Schultz. And you're on the road. These are going to be the easy ones. There's no Devondre Campbell, who's a guy that's really good against the pass this year or in general. So I got Dalton Schultz higher than this. And then finally, man, a guy that you trained.
Yes.
You trained a couple good ones in this league, man. Robert Tonyan, who had a breakout year about 2 or 3 years ago, got the bag, I think, this offseason. Higher or lower than
my goodness.
Safety?
They fumbled the snap.
Are you kidding me?
Buffalo fumbled the snap.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, my God. They fumbled the snap. The Vikings recovered the ball. Touchdown, Vikings. After turning the ball over on downs with the quarterback sneak from Kirk Cousins, the Buffalo Bills fumbled the snap, recovered by Kendricks for a touchdown for the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, my God.
Why don't you just take the safety, punt the ball back with about 30 seconds left.
Wow.
And make them have to drive and kick a field goal.
Wow. Holy moly guacamole. Wow. But Robert Tonyan, I'm going to say over 20, was it 28 and a half?
20, wow. This is nuts, man. 28 and a half, man.
Yeah, wow. I'm going to say over for Rob. They fumbled the snap. They tried to Josh Allen tried to run a quarterback sneak, did not secure the snap, and they fumbled it. The Minnesota Vikings recovered it in the end zone for a touchdown.
I'm taking the safety right there, man. I'm shotgun, snap it, run around, fall down, kneel, 30 seconds left. Now you punt it, make them drive, 50 yards and then try to get a field goal. I mean,
that's crazy.
Jeez.
That's crazy. Oh, man. But Robert Tonyan, I think he has over 28 and a half yards because the Cowboys have struggled with tight ends. And then now, Michael will be back at playing linebacker, but there'll be some adjustments there. And for Aaron Rodgers, he likes that over the middle right there. So that tight end situation will be there. We're the only ones who don't run these deep overs, which I don't know why. But everyone else does. Everyone else does. Everyone else does, and they get guys open all the time. So, Robert Tonyan having a guy have 40-something yards, so that's definitely over as well.
Yeah, I believe he has over 28.5 yards 4 games in a row. This was easy for me. Over, he leads the team in receptions. And I think Dallas does a great job funneling everything, keeping it inside. So he's going to be targeted 6, 7, 8 times a day, get about 4 or 5 receptions, 40 yards or something like that. Easy over. I'm telling y'all, go pick him right now. Underdog Fantasy, do it. Make some money. All right, let's get the heck up out of here, man. These games are crazy. Yeah. Cowboys are about to play in about 10 minutes. Mouse in the house, and then we'll do our predictions. Who is your mouse in the house today? Going up against the Packers?
My mouse in the house for the Green Bay Packers is the starting linebackers. You got Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie. They'll start at linebacker today for Green Bay. The young boys. And I think with this offensive line, who's kind of come together really well, and despite what you may believe about them, they've come together really well. I think today is another one of those days where this offensive line has to get after the Green Bay Packers, create those running lanes for Tony Pollard and Malik Davis and whoever else will run the football. And then for Dak Prescott, you have to become that Jedi mind trick player on those linebackers. Allow that play action to make those guys, step up and eat up those guys, and then now be able to deliver the ball behind you to guys like Dalton Schultz, who you like to run a lot of those in-breaking routes to CeeDee Lamb, a lot of in-breaking routes to slant routes, stuff like that. So being able to do that with those rookie linebackers in there, those for me are the guys who are going to be the mouse in the house on the inside. I think I know where you're going with a guy like Stokes being out for the Green Bay Packers, but let's see where you go.
No. I'm not touching this secondary. I respect the secondary.
Okay.
I think Darnell Savage is good. I think Amos has been good in his career. Jair Alexander is one of the best in the league.
Right.
And Rasul Douglas broke out about a year or so ago. And now Rasul might be the guy that you go after.
Right.
Because, he's not he's the weak link. He's the AB, if you want to call it that. But I think it's better of their team. But this is a good secondary. This reminds me of last week, Jesse. Be careful. Don't throw in Eddie Jackson.
Right.
Don't do that. But be careful with the secondary. Pick your spots. Be efficient. There's going to be holes in these zones. There's going to be opportunities off play action. And just do what you did once you got in the rhythm last week. But I'm with you. I think the mouse and house, honestly, is their entire run defense. There's only one guy on that run defense to me that I respect in that manner, and that's Preston Smith. Preston Smith, watching him, I think I watched 2 games. One thing he does really well is, he honestly, I would play him more as a 5 tech, but he does this stack and shed very good. He can get guy off of you, man. And in this type of matchup, I would normally be like, hey, I welcome this with Tyler Smith against a big body guy like a Preston that's not a speed guy. But Preston's savvy. He's been around. He's played against much better tackles than Tyler. And I think you're going to see strength on strength for those guys. So I'm going to go with their run defense, but running on the other side. You can run at Preston, that's fine. But running on the other side, I think Jerron Reed he's playing out of position for a 3-4 defensive lineman. I think he's more of an interior guy. They're 25th or so in yards per carry on the ground. Just run, Chico, run. Run at these boys, man. What's your predictions for the game?
Yeah, I got, again, this is always one of those games where you look back and you go, boy, if we can exercise this demon, I would love to do it. I would love to do it in Lambeau Field. We have the better team. The Dallas Cowboys is the better football team.
Yes.
You just have to put Aaron Rodgers away. If you don't put him away, you're going to have a very long day. It's going to be a very long trip back from Lambeau Field. But I do have the Cowboys winning this game 24. I got 24-17, the Cowboys beating the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. That monkey comes off of the back of the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy gets carried off. I'm not sure if they're really going to carry Big Boy off the field. But,
they might dump water on him.
Oof. Please don't dump water on him.
Don't do that. You know what? He's 50-something years old. He might have a.
Yeah, just in your minds, carry him off the field, hand him the game ball in the locker room.
There you go. Do that. Do that. We don't want to make it seem like this. Hey, it's another game on the field, right? But when you get in the locker room, that's when you excited, you celebrate.
So I think the Cowboys win this football game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got almost this very similar score, 27-17. I think the offense actually continues their efficient day. I don't think this is going to be easy. I think they're going to have to come out here and match the energy that the Packers are going to bring. As much as this team, as his coach is probably talking about in his locker room about the return, Aaron is probably doing the same thing. I don't know what his leadership skills are like in the locker room, but he's probably doing it in his own way. Like, hey, man, I'm trying to get this one.
Right.
Okay? I'm not trying to lose to no damn on Mike McCarthy. So I think
they're trying to kickstart their season. Like they need to get this. They need to get this thing going.
This might be it. I mean, this might be their last chance. If you lose here, go down. 7 games. I know it's 7. Playoff teams now, but it's gonna be hard. Yeah. You're not gonna win your division. I tell you that much.
Right.
And the NFC East might send 3 teams to the playoffs this year. So don't let them match their energy. Period. If you can come out and match their energy, I think the cream will rise to the top, and this is the better team. Yep. And the Cowboys, it may be in the second half, but they'll eventually pull away. I got 27-17 Cowboys Nation.
Let's do it.
All right. This game is still on, so we're going to get the heck up out of here, Cowboys Nation. For Jesse Holley, Skywalker Still. Enjoy the first half. We'll be back for Game Day Live halftime show, and hopefully we have some good energy.
I hope our energy is matching.
I hope our energy is not like was it last week or 2 weeks
ago?
Well, it was 2 weeks ago. I had a little, but we ain't got to worry about that today. Yeah. I'll see y'all at halftime, man. Peace.
I'm in my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it so. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Hey, y'all, this game is still on. This game crazy.